Welcome. I'm John Spender. I'm a book publisher. I've collaborated with Kirsten Heynisch before. We collaborated together in creating resilience in your life, being more resilient. And I know that you're a psychologist, and maybe you'd like to share a little bit more about yourself, Kirsten.
Yes, of course. It's nice to collaborate again, John, with you.
Yeah, yeah,
And yes, so yes, I'm Kirsten Heynisch. I'm a clinical psychologist by training,
yeah.
and recently I've ventured into the field of coaching. I'm also someone who's trained facilitating groups and teams, so I'm very interested in that as well. Yes, but maybe just a little bit more of a personal introduction which has kind of always been intertwined with the professional as well in my life. I've always been interested in what makes people tick and in people's stories and people's struggles in some ways, including my own. And I've especially been fascinated with what isn't spoken about in a conversation or in life or in someone's story, and the invisible, we may call the unconscious. So this kind of curiosity about myself, about people, about the unconscious has led me to to want to study psychology and the human mind and the human nature. So this kind of curiosity has gone far beyond academic curiosity. It's almost like a curiosity of my heart and my soul. To to work out human nature, to understand the human mind, to understand what helps us grow, what helps us recover from trauma, to understand what is the meaning of life. So I've always had a natural draw to understand these kind of questions, and which has led me to become a psychologist. And I studied, in Germany. I was born in East Germany and moved to England some years, like when I was in my 30s. So I studied again in England because I wasn't accredited initially. So my studies have led me to find many answers to the questions I originally had, and also have given me the privilege to work with hundreds and maybe thousands of clients to help them along their path of recovery and finding answers to life questions. So yeah, so that's my journey, my professional journey. And personally, I'm a mother of a teenage daughter. She's 15 at the moment. I co-parent her with my co-parent,
Yeah.
and we have developed a very collaborative relationship to be good parents for her. And I've recently, yes, created a new relationship in the dating field, because today's podcast we said we wanted to call resilient dating.
Resilient. I
And
love it.
yes, and I'm co-creating a new loving, beautiful relationship with my new
Mm,
partner or
yeah.
boyfriend. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool because when we were collaborating together, we weren't in a relationship, a serious relationship. And then that
No.
chapter, I met my current partner, then you met your current partner, and we live in different parts
Yes.
of the world. And so it's just, yeah, the synchronicity of the both. And then you said, well, why don't we do, a podcast about, this new dynamic that I've created and what I'm offering. And
Yes.
I think it's a
Yes.
great idea
Yes.
that you've been able to do that because it's
When
not
did
easy.
yes.
Not easy. Yeah.
No. Did you meet your partner in the online dating field
Yes, I did.
as well?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
Yes.
how
Yeah. Online
interesting.
dating. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. I didn't realize that. Yes.
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 And it turned out that she owns the apartment next door to me where I'm staying.
What a synchronicity.
What are the chances?
Yes.
What are the chances?
Yes. But you didn't meet there, but you met in the dating
We
arena.
met online. Yes.
How that's really
Yeah, and
fascinating. Yes.
we were communicating online for a month, 6 weeks before we actually
Yes.
met in person. And then
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
she asked me, "Oh, whereabouts do you live in Condo 88?" And she's like, "Oh my God, I own the apartment next door." So
But she owned it, but she wasn't living there at the time.
no,
Oh,
it's just it's an investment property. So
I
she
see. I
used to
see. I
live
see. I
there
see.
like maybe 5 years ago or something, 5, 6 years ago.
Ah, how
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was quite fascinating. And
Mm.
I really resonate. And that chapter that that book that we co-wrote together, Creating Resilience,
Hmm.
Journey of Bridges, Creating Resilience, and your chapter, Learning to Ride the Waves, the waves and storms of life.
Hmm. Hmm.
What inspired you to write that?
Yes, that's a great question, John.
What does it mean to you personally?
Yes. So when you approached me a couple of years ago, it was now saying, would you like to write a chapter on creating resilience in your life, which was a wonderful invitation.
Mhm.
I kind of thought, and that was, I was already in my 50s then. So I thought, what am I going to write about? Where in my life did I create the most resilience? And it took me back to a time when I was 40, and actually to a time throughout my whole 40s. I kind of was very destabilized and struggled quite a bit with certain things. I was also continuing to grow, but this whole period was started off by the end of a relationship when I was 40 that I thought would last a lifetime. And I thought the man who was going to be the father of my children kind of walked out on the relationship in a way that was very hurtful to me. So I was very heartbroken. I felt deeply betrayed and bereft and ashamed that I was 40 and I didn't have children. You know, all these kind of conditioned mindset patterns
Mhm.
troubled me a lot.
Mhm.
And I couldn't easily move out of that position at that
Mhm.
point. And
Mhm.
I, throughout that time, a lot of storms and waves, metaphorically speaking, hit me. You know, like I was faced with a lot of challenges, like that I started a new relationship. I had became a mother, which was a wonderful thing. But
Mhm.
that's even though wanted, it was nevertheless a challenge that I felt out of my depths of many times. And then it turned out that the father of my daughter, who I was in a romantic relationship with, we weren't romantically very suited, and we were
Mhm.
faced with the challenge to become co-parents, you know, which was also a challenge, you know. And I
Mhm.
became a senior leader in the field of mental health and the organization I worked at. So I was hit with many waves and storms, like
Mhm.
metaphorically speaking, challenges. I mean, I understood that the birthplace of resilience is when we feel on our knees and we don't know how to move forward. You know, that's the birthplace of resilience. When we feel lost, when we feel, I don't know where to go from here, when we feel hurt often or out of our depth, and when we have to reach very deep in our sort of own resources and find answers to the questions we don't know. So, so in those years, in my 40s, I built a lot of resilience, and that's the kind of title was inspired by my experience of being hit by waves and storms, by challenges. They were coming constantly, you know, of a different kind.
Right.
And often I felt on my knees and out of my depths. But then on reflection, when I was writing the chapter, I thought, gosh, that's where I learned so much and grew a lot, you know, in this decade. I grew exponentially as a person. And in my chapter, I've written a little bit about the ingredients, you know, that allowed me to grow rather than become a bitter, twisted spinster,
Right.
you know, which
Could have
would have
easily
been a
gone
choice
down
as
that
well.
road, but I feel like you would have
Yes,
expanded that much by that point that it would be hard for you to go back and write like that because, once you expand past a certain point, you can't go back to how you were.
you're right. You're
Yeah,
right. You're right. But I was at a point where I was bitter, where I felt victimized by my experience.
yeah.
And it took real emotional, conscious effort to move in a totally different direction internally.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
I'm sure many people can relate to it. It's very human. It's a very
Oh,
human
yeah, I
experience.
mean, I haven't met a person, I've never met a person that hasn't had some form of resilience building or, adverse or a relationship catastrophe of sorts. Um, I
Yes,
feel it's very much part of the
exactly.
human experience. It's very relatable. Your chapter is very relatable, has a lot of pictures as well. And you give a lot of background to how you come to be living in that paradigm that the way you showed up in that relationship as well. And so you took a lot of accountability, even though you know it was betrayal on a lot of fronts. and you
Mhm.
can wish
Mhm.
that on anyone. You took 100% responsibility for how you were showing up in that relationship.
Mm.
So it's a very
Yes.
inspiring read.
Mm.